Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome along to a very strange time, but it's Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. It's Saturday evening, usually a time that we'll be sitting at home looking ahead for the new week, but we're in the middle of a big tournament here. It's the ATP Tour 1000 over in Indian Wells. Now, man in California is Sean Calvert, and he's just woken up. I've been at a football match today, Sean. He's just woken up. And I hear you have some fantastic entertainment in your hotel last night, Sean. Just a little birdie told me that you had a really nice little singing that you quite enjoyed.
I did not enjoy it one bit, to be honest. It's a very weird place. It's the maitre d' is about 100. I've never seen an older man in my life, and you have to go down to book a table. You just go down. He's got his own little section. You go down there and you ask him to book a table, and he can't hear you for a start. He's virtually deaf. So then he sort of writes your name and your room number down on this sheet. Right, I did that, and I came down. It was like 2 hours between me talking to him and me checking in for the table. He'd completely forgotten who I was. He had no idea what I was on about. He can't hear anything. I said, look, you've written it. It's there. It's there. He says, oh yeah, I probably did. I said, well, yeah, it doesn't help that he's about 10 yards away from the singer, and it is insanely loud. It's also about 10 yards away from the reception desk. So the people on reception have got no chance of hearing anything that's going on. He can't hear anyway. He walks about 1 mile an hour, and he's kind of trying to deal with all these people. He must have worked here for like 50 years or something. I've never known an older man working anywhere in my life. So I said to him, I don't want a table near the singer. It's too loud. He's like, what? I can't hear you. I'm like, well, I don't know whether it's just because he's deaf or the music is so loud, but he just puts me about 15 yards from the singer, and he's doing all this Pavarotti stuff, and it's you know you really have to belt that out, don't you?
Oh yeah,
it's something that you should probably do. Yeah, he did that. He did Nessun Dorma. That's the only reason I knew. Yeah, that's pretty good actually. About the same level as him. It feels like it should be done in an arena, not in this little bar area. And he's belting this out, and they're loving it. These elderly people in my hotel.
Are you the youngest guy in the hotel?
There's a few kids. Kids, but
other than them,
there's some kids. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Well, the parents of the kids, but generally speaking, it's all kind of 60, 70-year-olds. And as soon as the show finishes, if you want to call it a show, they all go. They've come here just for that. And I'm trying to have my New York steak, and it was just way too. Even if I liked singing, it was way too loud. It was ridiculous.
The question that we want to know really is: was that singing or crooning? And that's the question that everyone wants to know.
He did all sorts. I'd say that was slightly more singing because it's a sort of Pavarotti, but he also did some Sinatra stuff.
That's live.
And yeah, it wasn't that one. It was. I don't know which one it was. Come Fly With Me, I think it was.
Oh, Come Fly With Sean. We go on economy.
I am going on economy in a minute. Actually, we'll probably come on to that in a second. But it's too loud. I can't be doing with it. Anyway, that's my last night here, so there's no more.
But you must be enjoying yourself. You're away from Lehecka, and you've got the pressures at home. You come in and watch a bit of tennis. You let yourself go, get up there and start singing. I don't understand it.
You want me to be singing? I can't. I'm the worst singer in the world.
And just get involved.
No. Maybe tonight I'll be in Santa Monica. I might go out and have a beer or two in Santa Monica in a sort of bar. That's more my sort of scene. This is not me.
It's sort of like the road to the end of life. Like the hotel. This is the description. It's like Cocoon, where you're going. Everyone goes in the water and comes out 20 years younger. Is that the kind of thing?
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of old people here. And just over there, just out my window, is the golf course. They start playing at about 6:30.
I bet you don't like that. I bet you don't like that.
Not that it's golf. I'm not that bothered. It's just a gentle plop of a ball. I'm not fussed about that. But the guys do start mowing the fairways at about 6:15 in the morning, which I'm not keen on. But anyway, that's good. It's all right. It's not bad.
What do you got planned tomorrow? You said this is your last day. You're not going to the tennis today. Obviously, it's Saturday. It's going to be really, really busy. We spoke about it yesterday. Oh. You're not attending Indian Wells. So what's the plan? No. What's the plan for the next couple of days?
When we've done this show, I'm gonna check out here, and then I'm getting an Uber, no less.
What?
I was gonna get. I was.
Jesus, what's happening here? You what?
Tableau won yesterday, didn't he?
Oh,
so
okay.
it's all fine. So I was going to get the $1 bus because I didn't know we were doing a show today, but I haven't got time now to get the $1 bus into Palm Springs. And then I've got to go from Palm Springs to the Greyhound bus station, which is kind of right in the north of Palm Springs, Thousand Palms, I think it is. And I've got to get on a Greyhound bus to downtown LA. And then I'm going to get a metro from downtown LA to Santa Monica. That's the plan.
Right.
I'm staying in Santa Monica for a couple of days. But
will you show us
with the Greyhound bus?
Will you show us the journey on the Instagram account, please? Will you show us the different bus routes and the different Ubers, and so we can see?
You want me to post it on Instagram?
Yes,
I'm not allowed to post on Instagram, am I?
Well, no, I no, you can. You can on this. This is an exception. We want to see your route, so we want you to actually show the route on the way through.
I can put some photos up. Yeah,
the young girl, she won't be awake while you're doing this route, but everyone wants to see this route.
They'll see it. Don't worry.
Yeah, we want to see.
There's always a problem though. I don't trust these buses, so we'll see what happens there.
But greyhounds are the fastest dogs in the world, so surely this bus must be quite fast.
I've been on Greyhound buses. Have you ever been on a Greyhound bus?
I've never been on a Greyhound.
I'm guessing you probably haven't.
I can't really count many times I've been actually on a bus, let alone a Greyhound.
There's some interesting characters. I bet you haven't. There's some interesting characters on the Greyhound buses, so it should be fun.
Okay. Well, hopefully you can have a good sing song on the bus. Sweet.
I bought two seats. You can. Did you see that video I put up yesterday when they started playing Sweet Caroline at Indian Wells? It was right in the middle of when Tabilo lost the first set to Kotov, and someone started banging out Sweet Caroline around the corner. It was a low point. That was. Luckily, he turned it around, but I wasn't pleased with that. But you can buy 2 tickets now on the Greyhound bus, by the way, so you can make sure that nobody's sitting next to you.
I'm surprised you haven't bought the Greyhound bus.
I can't afford that.
Well, how much are 2 tickets?
In total, 2 tickets to LA is about $30. So
30.
I could have done it for less. I could have done
the whole bus for
$450
and just go on your own like an Uber. Yeah.
I could do. Well, Uber's like $300. I'm not. More than that, about $300 or $400 to get to Santa Monica. I'm not doing that. Let's not go mad.
No. We won a few quid. We haven't won that much. Come on, let's be fair. But other than the singer, other than the people, other than the commuting, and is anything? Any? You had a good time?
Yeah, it's the sun. The sun's out. I'm sitting there watching tennis. It's great.
Yeah,
it was great. Tabilo against Kotov was great because it was on the same court that Borges was on the night before, which is court 7, when I was absolutely packed. I couldn't move, but there was hardly anybody there for Tabilo. If you go in the morning, it's my tip for Indian Wells. If you want a stress-free watch of the tennis, get there early, watch some of the practice courts, and then stay till lunchtime and then go, because after lunch it's all bets are off. You can't get any Wi-Fi signal. It's dreadful. There's like a million people there, but yeah, get there in the morning. It's fine. It was great. I love that Tabilo match. It was perfect. There was hardly anybody there. It was great.
Those are one of the tips. If you ever go to Indian Wells, but we want to know your tips for tomorrow on Sunday here across the UK and across America for the matches over in Indian Wells. Now, tomorrow, the reason I said the UK is because tomorrow the clocks go back in the US. So be careful of make sure.
Do they?
Okay. Yeah, I'm giving you a little tip here. So when you're looking at the $1 bus, make sure your time's all right.
I'm not on the bus tomorrow. It's just today. I'll be fine tomorrow.
Oh, okay. So be careful. I think there's clock changes tomorrow. I think they go backwards. Anyway, let's have a look at the matches that we're going to speak about tomorrow. These are actually, to be fair, the Saturday matches we spoke about yesterday, which are going to be played a little bit later on. They're not really very exciting, but there's 4 matches we predicted here. We're going to talk about here are quite exciting. And all the matches up tomorrow are really exciting. We've got Carlos Alcaraz against Felix Auger-Aliassime. I think it's going to be an interesting one. Alcaraz didn't impress me at all. Before we go on to these matches, conditions good, weather's nice, everything okay?
Weather's fine. Yeah, there's no problems for the rest of the tournament according to the weather forecast. It's always a bit sketchy here because the way that the clouds and stuff does move in, it's not always easy to predict it, but the weather looks fine for the rest of the tournament.
So let's move on to the match. Shelton against Cerundolo, a really interesting match here. Ben Shelton, the American young hope, is -335. Very, very short -335, I believe here. 255 Cerundolo. You want it to be quick for Shelton. You want it to be a little bit slower for Cerundolo if you're going to take the Argentinian. The spread here is 4.5, a monstrous 4.5 when you even consider about it. But Shelton is +117, Cerundolo -152, a heavy favourite with the receiving the 4.5. And the total 21.5. Now that surprises me, the total here, because Usually with Shelton games, it's 23.5, every match, 23.5, 22.5, 22.5. And I'm quite surprised at that. Cerundolo hasn't been in the greatest form, but he did reach the semi-finals in Rio. He beat Shevchenko here, who retired, and Shelton come through a bit of a long clash against Mensik, and he reached the quarterfinals in Acapulco, where he got beat by Casper Ruud. You can imagine Shelton being very heavily supported by the crowd there. Cerundolo will also have his supporters as well. I mean, he's a very popular man. The South Americans are always out in contingents, in force whenever they play them plays. I thought the total games looked cheap here at 21.5.
Yeah, it's pretty much what I've written, to be honest. Shelton's just the way that he plays that very, very aggressive start. It's very hit and miss. It leads to him having good sets and bad sets. A good example was Mensik yesterday. He's only won 2 of his last 11 matches in straight sets as Shelton, and he's only won 2 of his last 21 matches against top 50 ranked opponents in straight sets. So there's a pretty good chance this is either going to go to 3 sets or over games, just because of the way he plays. It's so aggressive. When it works, it's great, but it's hard to keep that standard up for 2 straight sets in a row, and it leads to him having a set where he's just not hitting. He's missing a lot, and gives the other guy a chance, exactly like the Mensik match yesterday. The slow conditions you would think would suit Cerundolo, who got a peculiar retirement out of Shevchenko yesterday. Shevchenko didn't look injured or anything really wrong with him. He was getting soundly beaten. It appeared that he just went, well, my work here is, it was hot, but it's a bit of a strange retirement. But a horrible start to the year from Cerundolo, but his run to the Rio semi-finals, maybe that's given him some confidence back. You can see why Shelton's priced as he is. He's on the outdoor hard court stats for the last 12 months. His service points won and return points won total is 102. Cerundolo is just 98, so a bit of a difference there. From a Cerundolo point of view, he's won 8 of his last 10 matches against left-handers at main level, although none of them were Ben Shelton. But even so, his backhand is good. He obviously performs well against left-handers. So I've written down over 22.5 games here, plus 114 with Bet Rivers. I think the slow conditions will assist Cerundolo if he plays as well as he can, or somewhere near as well as he can. I think he should be another player that presses Ben Shelton into a long match.
Just going to ask you 2 questions. 22.5, you say it's plus 104?
Plus 114.
Plus 114. Well, 21.5 is even money, and obviously 21.5.
Take that then, yeah.
Yeah, if you don't have to rely on a tie break, really. 22.5, you have to rely. If you get a 6-4, 7-6, you really want a tie break for you. So, 20.
We'll go over 2.5 sets if you want a bigger price.
Yeah, and there's a huge amount of markets available with Bet Rivers on this match. Is 28 different markets available. As I said, there's a huge amount of markets there. So looking at the total games, just one other thing I'm going to just sort of be a bit controversial here. Shevchenko. There's a lot of talk on Twitter about his sort of desire in some matches on social media. If you look at when you put in Shevchenko matches, there's a lot of people questioning his performances and looking at the way he plays. And
you could definitely question it yesterday.
Yeah, but you get certain players that you come up against in the tennis world. You think, I don't really trust betting on this match. And so, all of a sudden, this young man may fall into that category because some of his performances are brilliant, and then next week is absolutely abysmal and questionable kind of.
Yeah, like Gasquet, the Gasquet match. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Is he someone that we should really look at the money for him, or someone we should think, what? I don't really trust him because we may not feel comfortable with betting him. Yeah,
similar to Bublik. Bublik's had that sort of vibe about him for most of his career. These guys are obviously friends, doubles partners, both now from Russia, both now representing Kazakhstan. I would say yes, because yesterday was a prime example. Didn't seem any real reason why he retired. The performance against Gasquet the other week, not great. I would certainly, I would have to be very confident or very much liking a price to sort of get involved in it in the Shevchenko match. If there's other options out there, I would take the other options. Yeah,
I saw him play Dimitrov in Rotterdam in the quarterfinal, and he was in a good winning position, played really well. I think we were on Shevchenko to actually with the handicap, or we made a case for him, and I bet him, and he down tools in the tiebreak, and then just completely he won the second set, and in the third set he was a no show. So for me, I just think he's someone to be a little bit wary of. He's someone I wouldn't.
There's
really
a question mark, I think. Yeah,
definitely a question mark over Shevchenko. So Shelton-Cerundolo is the match we're talking about there, and the match we're talking about there is over the games 21.5 at plus 100, or you want to go over 22.5. Depends how you want to play the match, and that is 22 and over 22.5 is plus 114. Okay, we're moving on to the next match, which is Tiafoe against Tsitsipas. Tiafoe, obviously the American, another American with a huge amount of expectation on his shoulders whenever he comes over here. The crowd want to see him. They love him over there. Plus 235 for Tiafoe. Tsitsipas is minus 305. He's had a really indifferent kind of year. 3.5 is the handicap for Tiafoe. Now, plus minus 114 is the handicap. 22.5 is the total games as well. But really, honestly, I mean, Tsitsipas, given his form, I mean, I couldn't bet him at that kind of price with anyone's money. But he has got, these two have met many times before, 7 times they met previously. 4-3 Tsitsipas leads in the head-to-head. A lot of close matches as well, especially recently in Laver Cup in 2022, the last time they played was an epic. Vienna as well in 2021 was an epic. But Tiafoe's won the last 2 matches here, and Tsitsipas is in no form at all. I know Tiafoe's not in great form either, but minus sort of 305 for Tsitsipas. Not for me.
No, not for me either. I'm taking Tiafoe on the handicap here. I watched his match last night actually on the TV. It was a late one against Dusan Lajovic. He looked really up for it, which he hasn't done for most of this season. In all fairness, he's looked lackluster, but he's often a different animal when he comes onto American soil in the big events, and that was much more like it from Tiafoe last night against Lajovic. It wasn't great from Lajovic, in all honesty, but it was a good performance. It was the sort of performance you want to see from Frances Tiafoe if you're a fan. He should be motivated here anyway because he's got to defend semi-final points from last year. As you said, he's also got a decent record against Tsitsipas. I think he's won 3 of the last 4. Tsitsipas doesn't have a great record at Indian Wells. You know, in theory, it should suit his game. Quite slow, quite high bouncing, sort of similar-ish to Clay, where he tends to do his best. But he's only made 1 quarter final here, no further, in 5 appearances, Tsitsipas. Looking at his record, Tsitsipas, as you said, again, in his recent form isn't great. He's lost his last 7 matches against fellow top 20 ranked opponents. In his last 10 matches against top 20 opponents, his service points won and return points won total is just 95. He's broken serve only 10% of the time in those matches, which is dreadful, winning just 29.4% of return points. So he's been nowhere near getting into the service games of top 20 players in recent times. As I said, his record here isn't fabulous. It's almost exactly the same as Tiafoe's actually at Indian Wells. Tiafoe, 56% win rate and a service points won and return points won total of 102. Tsitsipas, 55% win rate and also 102. So, and then you take the head-to-head into account as well. It's a slightly strange head-to-head. I've just looked at their last 4 meetings because the others were many years ago. Tiafoe's won 3 of the last 4, but he has stolen it a little bit. It's actually Tsitsipas that leads the service points won and return points won totals by 105 to 95. So if you're 105 to 95 and you've lost 3 of the 4 matches, something's not quite right. The difference is that Tiafoe took a lot of breakpoint chances, 50% of the breakpoint chances he did take, and Tsitsipas was not as good by any means on the break points. The main difference in the stats is that Tsitsipas wins 80% of his first serve points. On second serve points, it's actually Tiafoe that leads 58% to 55. So you take away Tsitsipas' first serve, which isn't going to be as much of a weapon here at Indian Wells because Tsitsipas has only won 71% of his first serve points at this tournament. So, you know, the first serve here generally, unless you're Milos Raonic or someone, it isn't generally that important. So I think there's not a lot to like about the price of Tsitsipas here for me. I agree with you. So Tiafoe in some way, either to win the match plus 1.5 sets, or I've gone for the plus 3.5 games at minus 114 Bet Rivers on this one. That's my official pick for today.
That is the official pick. I think that's a great play. I mean, we've spoken about Tiafoe many times when he comes stateside. He raises game. He's a different animal when he's across in his homeland to where he's when he's overseas. And against Tsitsipas is a big match. Tsitsipas hasn't shown any heart, any desire in anything in the last sort of year or so. And I think plus 3.5 here in front of his home crowd are going to be pumped up. and he's going to get the crowd pumped up. He's a crowd favourite. I think 3.5 there is a brilliant bet there. So Francis Tiafoe plus 3.5 against Stefanos Tsitsipas is our first official pick. Remember, the matches start at 3 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. There is, I'd say 3 p.m. because I'm sure there is a clock change. I thought you was going to help me here, but
I think there is, because I remember last year the same thing happening. Yeah. So I suspect you're right there. Yeah.
Yeah, either that or
I can't tell you what time the matches are on.
Even I'm going to be late for my Mother's Day lunch tomorrow because the clock's over in the UK, but I don't think it is. Anyway, there is a special that Bet Rivers are offering throughout the Sunshine Double. During the Sunshine Double, Bet Rivers is offering a tennis net gains parlay profit boost. Each day, you can receive a profit boost of 25% or more for a tennis parlay wager of 3 legs or more. See the Bet Rivers app for full details. So a 25% parlay boost on the Sunshine Double. So check that out on the BetRivers website. Make sure you head across there and you can see all those different markets, all those different ways you can get with Francis Tiafoe in his match against Stefanos Tsitsipas. The third match, Andrey Rublev, the headbanger Rublev, smashing them rackets up. He didn't do it yesterday against Andy Murray. He had a pretty easy route against Andy Murray. Andrey Rublev is minus 305 against Jiri Lehecka plus 235. To me, probably one of the biggest bottle drops in tennis at the moment. Someone I would never bet in play if he was in the lead. He's plus 235. The handicap here, the spread is 3.5, minus 335. Minus 3.5 is minus 118 with Rublev. Plus 3.5 at Lehecka, minus 108. And the total here is 22.5. These two players have met 3 times before. It's a 2-1 lead for Rublev. And most importantly, last time they met was here in Indian Wells, where Rublev won very easy 6-4, 6-2. Lehecka won in Doha when he got to the final 4-6, 6-4, 6-3 in 2023. And the last time before that was in Belgrade. But Rublev won 6-4, 6-2 this time last year in exactly the same stage. What do you think about this one?
I think he would be absolutely delighted if he wins this match, Rublev, in that sort of scoreline. I'm not convinced this is a fabulous matchup for Rublev if Lehecka's on his best form. I think very similar kind of styles of play. Rublev's generally a bit more consistent at it, but I think the way that Lehecka's played so far this year, I think he can prove a tough opponent for Rublev here. For me, Rublev's not that keen on players that can match his power. He likes to be the one dominating, the one bullying, if you like, and Lehecka can bully him back, as he showed in that match against Rublev in Doha last year. It was actually Lehecka that was the one calling the shots for most of that match. He almost beat him on the clay in Belgrade. I think he was a set up Lehecka, and then it went to a second set tiebreak. So he almost beat him there as well. Obviously, Rublev got his own back, as you said, at Indian Wells, but I think Rublev will probably win it, but I mean, I'm not totally. So Lehecka, on his day, Lehecka could win this. That's for sure. They both had pretty tricky opening matches. Murray should have won that opening set actually against Rublev yesterday, but once Rublev had got that set under his belt, he eased his way through it. He got the conditions and he was fine. As was Lehecka. He started slowly as well. Players often do it in Indian Wells. It's not easy, but he ended up playing pretty well against Nakashima. If you look at the 2024 main level outdoor hardcourt stats, Rublev's are excellent. 81% win rate and a service points won and return points win total of 109 and a service hold and break total of 111. But Lehecka's not a million miles behind. 75% win rate, a 103 service points won and return points won total, and his whole break total is 107. So he's got some very, very good stats this season on hard courts. The head-to-head, as I said, has been pretty competitive. If you look at the second serve points won, which I always like to look at here at Indian Wells, Rublev has won 59% of his second serve points, and Lehecka's won 56%. So it's been a competitive matchup. If we look at Rublev in Indian Wells, 6 of Rublev's last 9 opening sets at Indian Wells have gone over 10.5 games. So he often takes his time to get going in these conditions. So given that it's been a competitive head-to-head as well, I quite like the plus 220 with Bet Rivers about set one going over 10.5 games. Or you could take the over games or over sets, but I think it would be a competitive one, this.
What do you think of the conditions, Sean? Do you think they're like the speed of the court? Do you think it's a little bit quicker? Last time we spoke about it, one player said one thing, the other player said the other thing. What do you think?
Murray thinks it's quicker, but it doesn't look any different to me. I'm not seeing any from the naked eye, I'm not seeing any difference really from previous years, to be honest. No.
So over total games in the set number one. It might bring on over total games in the whole match as well. Head to the Bet Rivers website. As I said, loads of different markets there. The final match we are going to concentrate on is a match there. I know that Sean has a bit of a negative for this player at the moment, the way we've spoken about the tournament so far. It's Alexander Zverev against Tallon Griekspoor. Zverev is minus 345. Tallon Griekspoor is plus 265. The spread here is 3.5, minus 110 for Zverev. Giving up the 3.5, and the total is 22.5, which again I think looks pretty cheap. The two of them have played 3 times before. It's 2-1 to Zverev. He won the last meeting in Toronto in 2023. In Rotterdam, in Griekspoor's home country, he won that in a tight match. And at Wimbledon in 2021, it was a very easy routine match for Zverev, but it was a long time ago. I watched Griekspoor firsthand up against Bublik, and I've never seen a match that was destined to be a tiebreak in the first set more than that match in those conditions. It was an absolute, Griekspoor's great serve, great athleticism, but really other than the serve, it only really has much here. And this to me looks like a massive overs or a massive over at the tie-breaking first set. Are you similar kind of thinking of yourself? Or
Yeah. I mean, Zverev's not got a great record. He'll talk about that in a minute. But I mean, even in these relatively slow conditions, I would still expect to have dominated match between these two. If you look at the head-to-head of the two matches that are relevant, the grass one was a long time ago and Griekspoor was much lower ranked. Look at both the matches they played in 2023. It's a fair advantage to Zverev. Service points won and return points won, a total of 102 to 98. It's not overwhelming by any means, but slight advantage to Zverev. But the return stats are what's interesting here. Griekspoor wins only 28% of return points in those two matches, and Zverev wins only 30%. So serve dominated is one way to put it. Yeah, Griekspoor in those two matches relying very, very heavily on that first serve. He's won 84% on his first ball, but only 51% on his second. So he needs that first serve to be firing to give himself a fair chance in this matchup. And he did that against Hanfmann in the opening round here. He won 81% of his first serve points, even in the slow conditions. And Zverev won 75% on his first serve against what was an injured Christopher O'Connell. I mean, Zverev would be delighted to get through that one in straight sets. A little bit unlucky for O'Connell. He got a hip injury. He was more than competitive in that match. It had numerous chances to lead by a break in the opening set, but in the end, he couldn't quite do it. The hip was a problem for him. But that points to the fact that their serves are still very effective here, even here at Indian Wells. Zverev, he's done much better on the second serve points in this matchup, 62% of the points he's won in 2023 against Griekspoor. So he's been the better man from the back of the court. It makes him a fair favorite, but overs looks the way. If you look at Zverev's record here in Indian Wells, he's only made one quarterfinal in 8 appearances here at Indian Wells, and only 6 of his 18 matches that he's played has he won in straight sets. So it all suggests to me overs, over 22.5 games, minus 116, or perhaps over 10.5 games in set one is a bit juicier, plus 175 at Bet Rivers eyes.
Yeah, I watched Griekspoor set against Bublik. The first set was brilliant, and he just didn't have it on the big points in the tiebreak. He had that serve, and then he just didn't have the game. In the long rallies, he lost virtually every point. But when he got the serve,
he's lost every tiebreak against Bublik, hasn't he? He's played about 8 tiebreaks against Bublik, lost all of them.
Yeah, I love the over in the set number one play. I think that's a brilliant play. As you said, the hips don't lie. Sure, the hips don't lie. And I'm sure you'll be dancing a bit to Shakira later on tonight.
I did know that was Shakira, actually. So I'm quite impressed with myself.
There you go. Look at that. The hips don't lie. Is that a singer or a crooner?
I think she's a singer. I think. I don't know any of her other songs, by the way. That's the only one that I know.
That's all I know, to be honest with you. I know that she was married to the centre half from PK from Barcelona. I know she sung "Hips Don't Lie."
Oh, is that right?
And I watched the video a few times just to get the kids going, dancing around, but nothing else. But other than that, I don't really know much about it. But I do like this over games in this match here. Zverev against Griekspoor. I think the overs in this match as well, 22.5 minus 109. The first set is a brilliant play. The tiebreak in set number one, I think, is a nice play as well. So head across to the Bet Rivers website. That is it. So the official pick, Sean, for tomorrow, Sunday's action?
Yeah, Francis Tiafoe plus 3.5 games against Tsitsipas minus 114. That is a Bet Rivers. That's the play for Sunday.
Just the one pick. So there is just the one pick. The Francis Tiafoe pick is the bet against Tsitsipas. Not surprised by that pick, actually. Tsitsipas is in such bad form. There's a few leans there as well, but they must have been quite close to being official picks, though. They're quite confident.
Yeah,
there's some, I quite like them.
There's some good leans there. Yeah, if I'd have taken 2 or 3, the odds are that the other one would have won. It gets a bit complicated. I don't like having too many bets at Indian Wells. I like to go with just the strongest one, but people can make their own minds up. People might think some of the other ones are a better value, but
Exactly.
That's the information's there.
Some great information there, some great picks, some great analysis there. Remember, there's 3 ways to follow us here on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. You can follow us on our social media at Twitter and on Instagram at becausewewin. Your chance to win one of their fantastic T-shirts. Give us a cross follow there. You've also got to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Betting Weekly Studios. Brilliant content on there. Absolutely brilliant. And the subscriptions are going up and up and up. And give us a comment on there. Anything you want to, any questions you want to ask myself or any of the team on there, we're happy to answer any of the questions as well. And you can download the podcast, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, on your preferred podcast provider. Sean, I know you've got literally 7 minutes before you get kicked out of the hotel, and you're going to be chased down the corridor by a 103-year-old.
He's not going anywhere. That guy.
You'll be all right. I'm sure you'll be okay. So follow the journey. So where do you go from there? You're going to go one little route, then a few buses all the way down to where? Palm Springs?
An Uber from here to Palm Springs. Well, Palm Springs North, and then a Greyhound bus to downtown LA, and then I got to negotiate the metro from LA to Santa Monica. So yeah, that's the plan. Follow
that journey on Instagram. And Sean, when are you traveling back to the UK?
Monday afternoon, Monday evening, something like that.
Okay, so we won't catch up with Sean now until he returns back from the UK, and we'll have a couple of little podcasts before the end of the tournament, and then we'll build up to Miami in a couple of weeks' time. So we're at the business end of the tournament. Sean will be back in the UK, and we'll be able to look at the best bets on the tournament as well as we get into the business end of the competition in Indian Wells. Sean, safe travels. You've got a lot of them. You've got a lot of them.
Should be fun. This should be quite interesting.
Enjoy yourself, and Nessun dorma. Nessun dorma. Take care.
Twice in one day.
See you all next week.